Where are all the babies? For the first time, deaths are expected to outnumber births in the UK every year from 2026. What's going on, Shell?
What is going on? Let's get into it.
Yeah, I think it's time to have a chat and really grill into this subject because something's going on, isn't it? And just remind everyone, I'm Ant, a therapist.
And I'm Shelly, psychotherapist.
Psychotherapist, eh?
There is a debate there, isn't there?
There is. Why are you calling yourself a psychotherapist? You're trying to outdo me.
Always.
Yeah, I mean, is there a difference between therapist or psychotherapist?
Well, my understanding was you'd use the term psychotherapy when it's more long-term work. I mean, what's your understanding?
I don't think there's any difference. I mean, I think it's just a fancy jargony word to make it sound better than we are, really. I think psychotherapist, therapist, I think it's all the same category.
Do you think that some people try to use the word psychotherapist to make it look like they're more qualified than a therapist? Or counsellor?
Or we are going to get some, I don't know, a bit of flaming for this, aren't we? But I don't know. I mean, I've always found...
We're open, aren't we? You know, people can let us know in the comments, tell us what they think. You know, what do they think about using the terms?
You're right, we do like a flaming. Yeah, I've always thought psychotherapy more American for some reason. I don't know if that's a misconception on my part or what, but yeah, I don't know, just a bit needlessly jargony for me, but each their own and all that. Each their own. But yeah, but going back to the story that we're going to cover today, I mean, I saw it in the midweek and I thought, wow, that is an alarming story that deaths are starting to exceed births in the UK. And I know worldwide this is an issue, but when it's on your own green land, I thought, ooh, this is a bit of a
bit
concern.
more confronting.
Bit more confronting, yeah. Good word. I mean, what do you think? Your first impressions or your first instinctual gut feeling, what do you think's going on?
I think there's a lot to be desired when it comes to maternity care, when it comes to maternity and paternity leave. I think there's a lot of reasons these days to not have children, and you know, I think some people are put off. If we go back 50, 60 years, you could run a household with one person working and the other person at home, which obviously eased a lot of the pressure when it came to childcare. And these days, in order to afford things, two parents have to work and then they have to pay for expensive childcare. It's very stressful and it's a lot of money.
It is. And I mean, in the midst of a cost of living crisis as well, it completely compounds the issue as well, isn't it? I mean, some of the fees are eye-watering, aren't they, for young families these days?
Yeah, easily. Some, are over £1,000 a month, which is obviously ridiculous with everything else you've got to pay out for when you're paying rent, mortgage, council tax, food, energy. It adds up, and obviously then you're expected to parent like you don't have a job and work like you don't have children.
Yeah, I mean, what's the trade-off? Where's the give in that? I mean, it just doesn't compute, does it? It just doesn't match up to a nice family life, but also when you're trying to work alongside that as well, it can, become impossible for some, can't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, it's very hard because then I think you don't end up doing either job very well, and then it creates a lot of guilt, a lot of stress, a lot of shame, and that's really difficult for parents.
Guilt and shame.
Yeah.
Do you hear that in your work?
Yeah, I mean, I have heard that in my work about, parents feeling like they don't do enough or they can't do enough. It's really difficult to spend that time with your children when you've been at work all day and now you're exhausted and you've still got to come home and do all the same chores that you used to do at home.
Yeah. I mean, I think parents, or even hopeful parents or parents to be, they're already feeling such pressure, aren't they? Because, I mean, it's always been tough to raise a family, and let's face it, we've gone through wars and famines and things, but at the moment it is tough, isn't it? And in the backdrop of a pandemic that we've come through. Again, the cost of living crisis, wars going along the world, and the fact we're all never been so connected, and we're reading constant misery on our devices a lot of the time. I mean, it's overwhelming.
Yeah, I can see why people would be put off of having children.
You can.
I can, yeah. It's a lot of stress, and it's a lot to get into, isn't it? And like, even when we've looked at, I looked at recently the Embrace UK report, and even the things that they found there, I can see why you wouldn't be interested in having babies when your risk of death in the first year is that high.
Really, that high?
Yeah, so the report, it uncovered quite a few things. So the most common, in between 6 weeks post-birth and up to the first year, looking at the report they did in 2022 to 2024, the leading cause of death was suicide in mothers.
Really?
Yes. In the first 6 weeks, the leading cause of death was blood clots. So that was a lot from like post-birth sort of difficulties. But yes, and it accounts for 33 to 34% of all late maternal deaths, suicide. Which is quite alarming, right?
We're quite shocked by that, being honest. I mean, you're feeding me that stat for the first time, and generally my reaction is quite, I don't know, like you say, alarmed by that.
You would think that given how we're always progressing with technology and advances in treatment and care, that maternal death rates would be dropping, but they're not, they're increasing. So there's been a rise. We're at the highest level within the last 2 decades, with a mortality rate 20% higher than what it was in 2009 to 11.
I mean, that is really, really worrying, isn't it? Really, really worrying.
It is.
The backstep.
Yeah, I mean, and there were some risk factors. One of the main things they noticed about the people that had died was that from the assessments that suggested there was missed opportunities in care, and they believe that these missed opportunities could have made a difference for 67% of the women that died of suicide.
67%.
Yeah,
that's a huge number.
Mhm. So I think it's really difficult, because this report has obviously uncovered these areas where improvements need to be made, but we haven't seen anything yet about how they're going to do that, because we've got inequality where women living in the most deprived areas are twice as likely to die during or after birth than people in the least deprived areas. So also we've got ethnic disparity where, unfortunately, and this, again, I was really shocked reading this, Black women in the UK are nearly 3 to 4 times more likely to die during pregnancy or after birth than white women.
Wow. That's shocking. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Obscene.
So there is some real deep ingrained racism somewhere along the lines, because we've got Asian women that are also twice as likely to have these deaths in comparison to white women as well. So something's happened along the line, I'd like to say that it's not something where midwives and doctors are deliberately doing this, but somewhere along the line, I wonder, have they been taught many years ago that we don't listen to these people as much as white people, therefore it's kind of an unwritten rule that's gone along and it's still there? I mean, I don't know how else we can explain it.
I mean, whatever the explanation is, just very, very depressing, isn't it? In 2026, Britain, that a different type of person is being subjected to a lesser quality of treatment. I mean, it's just really, really alarming and worrying and disappointing as well, because I like to think that we've got a pretty tip-top healthcare system, and I'm proud of the NHS, but when you boil it down like that, that is really, really shocking.
It is. There was like combined risks as well, and that was 90% of the women who died did face multiple interrelated challenges. So what I mean by that is that they were known to social services, so social services were involved, they were experiencing deprivation, domestic abuse, things like that as well. So obviously there are other factors, but I guess my thinking is, if we know that these women are particularly vulnerable, why is the care not being stepped up?
Yeah. I mean, I suppose the good news is that it's been identified, and there's some reports on this, but this isn't new, though, is it? These kind of stories, and you would expect now there would be some sort of remedy and rectifying of the situation, but it doesn't seem that the pace is overly quick, unfortunately.
And obviously, if you've not had any children, and you're seeing this in the news, it's not going to fill you with confidence, is it, to want to have a child in the UK, knowing that we've identified all these issues?
And so, do you think that is genuinely a large reason why it's impacting the birth rate so significantly?
I mean, obviously, I don't know for definite, but I think it's got to be a factor in it. Because obviously, when thinking about having children, you are going to consider your own healthcare.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of our work is to do with hope, isn't it? And I think when you haven't got hope, that can lead to depression and a lack of dreams and a lack of planning, a lack of foresight. And when you've got statistics like that alongside the other stuff we've already mentioned, then hope isn't exactly going to be
No.
a wash.
And I can't imagine what it would be like to be a black woman seeing these results. You know, already I'm not pregnant, but if I get pregnant, it looks like that I'm not going to be listened to or get the care that I deserve just because I'm black.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. And again, keep harping back to it, but it's just unacceptable, isn't it? You need parity, you need equality, and everyone should be having universal good treatment. Let's face it, we need new babies, right? We need new babies, otherwise society collapses, doesn't it? I mean, alarmingly, apparently between the next 10-year period, there could be 6.4 million people born, and 6.9 million people will die as well. 7.3 million will emigrate to the UK, and 5.1 will emigrate long term from the UK. So in that yearly basis over those 10 years, there's going to be more deaths than births. So yeah, I mean, it all ties in together, I guess, with your statistics, what you're saying, and what I've just read there, and it's a real problem. It's a real problem.
And how do we go? And another thing that I think, is a part of it as well is I don't feel like that we live in a society that necessarily cares about the well-being of children. Because, I mean, look how difficult it's made for for women to get back to work, for men to go back to work after having babies. It's really difficult. There's not a lot of support there. And I don't think the child is at the heart of decisions where that's made. Because, they'd want you to go back to work and send them to full-time childcare, whereas ideally a child should be with their parent, and if the parent wants to be with them, I like the idea that they shouldn't have to worry about money. They can be with their child if they want to be. But I kind of feel like these days women and men are forced to send their children to nursery because they can't afford to take the time off with them.
I mean, I always like to think the UK is pretty good and generous compared to other countries across the world with maternity and paternity. But I mean, do you agree with that, or?
We're definitely not as good as Sweden. So looking at Sweden, have got some of the best sort of support there is. They've also got one of the lowest maternal mortality rates as well.
Wow.
So they have 480 days of paid parental leave per child.
480?
480 split between the parents, yes. And they also get, for 390 days, they'll get 80% of their salary, which is massive. In the UK, I think it's 6 weeks of 90% is standard, and then it drops down to statutory maternity pay, which is, I can't remember exactly, it's £100 and something a week. It's not a lot of money at all. So when you think about it like that, that's, quite good. They get free prenatal and child health care, and they get automatically monthly child allowances. And the one thing that they have that obviously we don't have here is they have subsidised childcare with a maximum monthly fee cap. So you won't experience the high cost of childcare in Sweden like you do here.
Well, I'm surprised by that. I mean, yeah, I know it's a nice place to live and a pretty harmonious and very comfortable place to live. The home of ABBA, IKEA, but I didn't realise it's got also the those good stuff for their society as well. I mean, it's impressive.
One thing I really liked is because obviously we know in the UK, right, that men's mental health isn't always talked about and that we've had a problem with male suicide rate in this country. And one thing I did like was that in this, even if it's not the dad, one parent has to take at least 90 days off. So whichever one is staying with, so if mum's staying with the baby, dad has to take 90 days off. That is 3 months off with their child, which is massive. The UK allows 2 weeks, I think, and prior to that, sometimes you're only entitled to get 2 days paid, which is nothing. 2 weeks, quite often, if your partner's had a baby, they shouldn't be left on their own for at least 10 days in case of hemorrhaging. And after a C-section, a woman's not meant to lift anything other than the baby for 6 weeks. And, you know, she's lucky if she gets 2 weeks with a partner at home.
Yeah, I mean, listening to that...
It's not a lot of support, is it?
No. And it just listening to that, it just seems like it must be so much more liberating for those families in Sweden. And it just sounds so restrictive here when you put it like that. And as we know, human beings don't do well with restriction and the walls kind of closing in vibe, do we?
And I think you can see that their care, well, they've got a lower maternal mortality rate. So obviously people are happier. So it's not leading to these negative outcomes. But the UK, clearly people aren't happier. You know, they're not happy with their partner only being at home for 2 weeks or even not being able to because they can't afford it at all. So they're doing it all on their own after just having a baby. And sometimes having a baby is a massive trauma for some women. It doesn't go smoothly. Things go wrong. And there's not, I think the evidence shows there's not enough support and there's not enough mental health support for women after they've had babies.
I mean, I get the sense you're quite angry about this overall story. I mean, how do you feel about it? How do you really feel about it?
You know it angers me, and you know, I've had 3 children myself and there is a real lack of support there. I've also experienced that as a first-time parent, being terrified to be on your own with your own baby after what was a very difficult birth. And then obviously, but you have to be because, you know, my husband couldn't have any more time off. So I've been in that situation and experienced that and seen what it's like, that lack of support and how difficult it is to receive that care. And being a first-time mum and not knowing when to reach out. Obviously, once you've had one, second, third, fourth, whichever it is for you, you've got an idea once you've done it once. You know then to advocate for yourself, what you can say. But as a first-time parent, you don't always know that.
Yeah, it's daunting, isn't it? I mean, it's like you say, you've experienced it, and the terror and the fear and the unknown. I mean, it's a very daunting thing to go through, isn't it? And when you don't feel that there's that support potentially there, and then financing it as well, you can see why the rate is starting to become alarming. Really.
Well, I mean, what's your take? Like, how would you feel like as a man if your wife had a baby and then you've seen these factors in the first year, you know, 33-34% chance of suicide? I mean, what does that feel like to you if you think about having a baby?
Yeah, I mean, it's really, really daunting, I think. And that, I genuinely am hearing that statistic for the first time, and I didn't think it would be that high, being honest. But yeah, I hear it in my sessions with people, male and females, and when they talk about their own worries about having families and even meeting people as well, then naturally, yeah, I know we're taught and instructed to think about the client's agenda at all times, but naturally, yeah, thoughts do drift into your consciousness, don't they, about your own situation and how you're going to make it happen, how you're going to make it work. So yeah, genuinely, I am quite dismayed and concerned for, because I love the country, I love this country, and I want it to thrive, and obviously want my own life to thrive as well. But
Of course.
when you when you marry the two up, I mean, yeah, it is something that we obviously need to address, and from our clients as well, because having, as you know, having children is probably the most natural wonder someone can have on planet Earth, isn't it?
I mean, for me, very fulfilling, but obviously everyone's different. Some people don't want to have children, and that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But what I don't like the idea of is that people want to have children but feel like they can't. Because like you say, when you were talking about hopes and dreams, like how is someone supposed to move forward with their life when they feel like these barriers are in place to stop them doing what they really want?
Yeah, again, barriers, obstacles, it's very, very difficult to overcome, aren't they? And when we feel that we're not getting a fair crack of the whip as well, where our lives are often being controlled by a select few above us, it can feel very trapping and very isolating, can't it? So
Yeah.
I think this is a huge subject which we may have to come back to. And obviously, when you talk about people that don't want kids, and that's absolutely fine as well. That's another video we can maybe do, because again, we have clients that I feel like that, don't we? Plenty, and they come to therapy because of judgment and things. So that's definitely something that we can cover in the long run. But for today, yeah, I mean, your stats, my stats, pretty dismal. But as a therapist, I like to end on an optimistic note, because I do like some optimism. I mean, where do you think the hope can come from? What do you think? Where do you think we need to go? What do you think we need to aim towards? Starting small.
Well, I think one thing I did see that might be, and I think it was some sort of like commissioner to cover maternity care, because I think maternity care kind of is a little bit lost in healthcare. So I think they need someone heading up and, overlooking everything to do with maternity care. And I think that will lead to people feeling a bit more reassured that, it's someone's job to maintain and look at that at all times. So I think that's one step, and obviously that is quite a big step. But smaller, I think we need more staff in the community offering support to pregnant women and new mums and dads.
So you're basically saying we need an Aunt Lydia type.
No, not Aunt Lydia. No.
I joke, but yeah, no, that sounds like a good idea. Yeah, someone to oversee it, someone to really, really get a hold over this, because we have obviously let the ball go in many fields, haven't we? And yeah, it's just really, really disappointing for a country of such wealth and prestige and what we've achieved. And I really hope that we can get back on it and let young people, whatever families, see that they can have children, because no children, no world, right?
No, and these, children, they're going to be our next leaders, doctors, therapists. They're going to be, the whole next generation. So we want to do well by them.
We do. But that seems like quite a good place to leave it on in, I think. But as always, we're really keen to get your thoughts. So please drop your comments below. What do you think about this story? Are you alarmed, or are we overcooking it? Are we being a bit dramatic? I don't know. What do you think? We'd like to hear your personal stories from obviously everyone from different backgrounds as well. Really interested to read those, and would really appreciate if you could like and subscribe to the channel to help us grow and to get the message to a wider audience. And really appreciate you watching as always. Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye.